Okay, today's video will be about finding our table values from a rule. So anytime you're given a rule and they ask you to find what your table values are, basically they're either going to give you your X value already, which is your input, and that would be the numbers on the top row, and then you'd have to find the numbers on the bottom row. So if they're giving you your X values, and you have a rule or an equation, y equals 2x plus 1, that means that anywhere you see an x, you're going to replace it with that value and then find out what y would be. So in this case, since I'm going to do that, I'm going to do that for every single one of the x values, I would take this equation and I would write it again down here. But instead of x, I'm going to put a -4 plus 1 and then work out the problem. So this becomes 2 times -4, which is -8 plus 1. And -8 plus 1, again, they have different signs. So you keep, you're going to have to find the difference between 8 and 1 is 7 and keep the sign of the one you have more of. So it's going to be -7. That means that when x equals -4, my y value is -7. So I'm going to go ahead and put -7 here. And we're going to do this for each one of the x values until we complete our table for our y values. So doing the same thing for when x equals -3. I'll write the equation one more time. And I'll work it out. So 2 times -3 is -6 plus 1. Finding the difference between the two, because one is negative and the other one's positive, will give me a -5. And if you don't believe me, you can go ahead and use Desmo Scientific Calculator and realize or notice that that is the value you would get if you plug in -3 for x. So I'm going to write a -5. And we keep doing this for each one of our x values. I'm only going to do 3 and then I'll show you what you would get for the entire table. So let's take -2. So 2 times -2 plus 1 equals, and then so 2 times -2 is a -4 plus 1, different values. So then you have to take the difference and keep the sign of the one you have more of. I have more negatives, so I know my answer is going to be negative. So that means that when x is -2, my answer is a -3. And so on until we get all of these filled out. If you do this, you should have this. I just did these already. So this should be your table if you continue doing these. Now what we do is we take these values, this x and this y, and we put them together as a coordinate pair. Remember, this is my x, this is my y, and this is my coordinate pair. And so all of these really are coordinate pairs. Now when we take those and we rewrite them, you want to then plot each point and draw a line through them. So it would be your final step, right? Drawing or plotting points. So remember, when we do this, the x value tells you to move left or right. So you're going to move left if the x value is negative. You're going to move right if the x value is positive from the origin. Okay, so you need to know what the origin is in the quadrants, right? In the coordinate plane. Where does the origin end up being? And you'll see right now, I actually made a dot in my graph. And then if you remember, the y value tells you to move up or down. So if the y value is positive, you're going to move up. If the y value is negative, you're going to move down from where the x coordinate is. So you're basically going to be sort of like tracing your steps. Do not lift your pencil up and do not mark your dot until you've completed your steps, which you begin with your x and then you finalize with your y. So I'm going to go ahead and do that with a graph, and I'm going to do that graphing these coordinates. So I'm going to look at these. So from what it stated, beginning with this point, I'm going to start with my x coordinate, and I begin from the origin. This is your origin. It's where the y and the x coordinate lines cross, right, and meet. So this is my origin. So I start here, and from this starting point, this is negative, so it's going to tell me to move to the left 4 squares. So I'm going to move 4 blocks. 1, 2, 3, 4. Remember, don't lift it, don't mark, and I just accidentally marked a little bit. And then this tells me to go down 7, so I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's where my point goes. And I can label it. This is -4, comma, -7. And I do the same thing with every point. So I'm going to go ahead and do the next one, which is -3, comma, -5. Remember, this is my x and this is my y. My x tells me to start in my origin. So I'm going to start at the origin, and then I'm going to move 3 spaces to the left, and then move 5 spaces down because it's negative. So 4, 5. So here's my next point, and I'm going to label it, doing the same thing with each one of these. So this is my x and this is my y. My x tells me to move from the origin 2 to the left because it's negative. So I go from the origin, move 2 to the left, and then 3 down. So here's my next point. Do the same thing with this one. This is my x, this is my y. This tells me from the origin I'm going to move left 1, and then I have to go down 1 for my y. Then I go to this one. This is my x and this is my y. This says stay at 0, which is the origin. So I'm going to stay there. But then my y tells me to move up 1, so here we go. This is my point. Hopefully you start seeing or noticing a pattern. The next one, again, this is my x and this is my y. So it tells me from the origin I'm going to move 1 to the right and up 3 because they were both positive. Right? So I had to move right and then up. And this would be 1, comma, 3. Again, this is my x and my y. So I go from the origin, move over 2 and up 5. That's 3. So 2 more. There we go. Then again, this is my x and my y. This tells me to move 3 over to the right and up 7. So I'm going to count 7. 5, 6, 7. And last one, this is my x and y. So this tells me to move 4 to the right from my origin. From here, I'm going to move over 4 and then up 5. So if this is 7, I got to go up 5, 2 more to 9. There it is. So this is 4, comma, 9. I've plotted all of my points. Now I just need to use a ruler and connect them for my line. And I could draw, I could use a red marker. There's my line. Going through them. And when you draw a line, make sure you have your little arrows at the end because that means it continues going. So I could keep making more points. I could find and predict where the other point would be. I could probably, if you see a pattern, right? I'm moving over 1, up 2, moving over 1, up 2, moving over 1, up 2. I could probably predict that if I move 1 over and go up 2, oh look, there would be my next point. I could probably predict where my other point would be because I would go down 2 over 1 and I could see where my other point is. And then we'd write our coordinates. So basically that's how you go and fill in your values in a table and then plot your points from there. I hope this helps with your homework for tonight. And thank you, and I'll see you tomorrow.